88 million years of evolution almost got erased by $100 million. During a coup in Madagascar, a foreign mining giant wired an upfront payment before real studies, before real oversight, and before the public could even understand what was being signed away. Then the money vanished, and a biodiversity hotspot near Baie almost became an industrial sacrifice zone. This is the story of how political chaos nearly destroyed one of Earth's most irreplaceable ecosystems. It all started with a political firestorm. In 2008, Madagascar was plunged into chaos. A coup ousted the sitting president, Marc Ravalomanana, and a new, unelected transitional government took power. The international community was not pleased. Foreign aid, a lifeline for one of the world's poorest nations, was cut off. The World Bank froze its assistance. The United States suspended non-humanitarian aid. The African Union suspended Madagascar's membership. The new regime, known as the High Transitional Authority, or HAT, led by former Mayor Andry Rajoelina, was isolated and desperate for cash. The country's coffers were running dry, and the government was scrambling to stay afloat. Civil servants weren't being paid. Public services were collapsing. It was during this period of extreme vulnerability that they decided to put Madagascar's natural resources up for a fire sale. Enter Wuhan Iron and Steel Corporation, or WISCO, a giant state-owned Chinese enterprise. They had their eyes on a massive prize, the Soalala iron ore deposits. Located near the stunning Baie de Baly National Park, this region held an estimated 562 million tons of iron ore. For a company like WISCO, it was a jackpot. For the desperate Malagasy government, it was a golden opportunity, or so they thought. The transitional government made WISCO an offer they couldn't refuse, but with a highly unusual catch. Before any negotiations, before any environmental impact studies, before a single shovel hit the ground, they demanded a $100 million upfront payment. This wasn't a deposit. It was a non-refundable entry fee just to get to the negotiating table. This kind of demand was unprecedented in the mining industry. Standard practice involves preliminary studies, environmental assessments, community consultations, and then gradual investment as the project develops. Other international companies, including firms from Korea and Japan who had initially shown interest, backed away immediately. It smelled of desperation and corruption, but WISCO agreed. They paid the $100 million in cash up front. Why would a company pay such a staggering sum just for the right to explore? Because the potential reward was immense. The Soalala deposits weren't just large. They were among the richest untapped iron ore reserves in the world. WISCO promised an additional $8 billion in investment. They painted a picture of a prosperous future for the region. They promised to create 100,000 jobs for locals in a country where unemployment was rampant and most people survived on less than $2 a day. They vowed to build a massive deep-water port, a new road network connecting the remote region to the capital, and even a power plant that could generate up to 400 megawatts of electricity. For a region plagued by poverty and lack of infrastructure, these promises sounded like a dream come true. The $100 million payment alone was equivalent to roughly 10% of Madagascar's entire national budget at the time. It was a massive injection of cash when the country needed it most. But where did that money go? Well, that's the $100 million question. The money vanished. It disappeared into the murky depths of government corruption, never to be seen by the public. No transparent accounting was ever provided. No development fund was established. There were no new jobs, no new port, no new roads. The promises that had seemed so bright evaporated into thin air. The local communities in Soalala, who had been promised a new era of prosperity, were left with nothing. They had been cheated, their hopes sold for a price they would never benefit from. Worse, they were now living under the shadow of a potential environmental catastrophe. The deal itself was a ticking time bomb for the environment. The proposed mining site was dangerously close to Baie de Baly National Park, a critical sanctuary for biodiversity. Madagascar's isolation for over 88 million years, since it broke away from the Indian subcontinent, has allowed life to evolve in extraordinary ways. Over 90% of its wildlife is endemic, meaning it exists nowhere else on the planet. This includes iconic species like the plowshare tortoise, one of the most endangered tortoises in the world, which calls the Baie de Baly region home. There are fewer than 500 of these creatures left in the wild. The park is also home to rare lemurs, endemic birds, and a mosaic of mangrove forests that serve as nurseries for marine life. An open-pit iron ore mine with its associated pollution, deforestation, and infrastructure development would have been a catastrophe. The extraction process would have required stripping away layers of forest and soil. Dust and chemical runoff would have contaminated water sources. The noise and activity would have disrupted breeding patterns. It threatened to destroy pristine habitats and push countless unique species closer to extinction. This wasn't an isolated incident. The Soalala deal was just one chapter in a larger story of resource plunder that unfolded during Madagascar's political crisis. The period between 2009 and 2013 was a free-for-all. With the central government weakened and international oversight gone, a shadow economy thrived. One of the most notorious examples was the illegal logging of rosewood. This precious timber, prized in China for luxury furniture, was being plundered from Madagascar's national parks. Armed gangs would enter protected areas, cut down ancient trees, and smuggle the logs to the coast for export. It's estimated that over $100 million worth of illegal rosewood was smuggled out of the country during this time, again, primarily to China. The very forests that were supposed to be protected were being cut down and shipped away, with the profits lining the pockets of a corrupt few. Environmental organizations called it botanical genocide, and there was another, even more audacious plan that almost came to fruition just before the crisis. Their South Korean company, Daewoo Logistics, had negotiated a deal to lease nearly half of Madagascar's arable land, an area of 1.3 million hectares the size of Belgium, for 99 years to grow corn and palm oil for export back to Korea. The deal would have displaced countless local farmers and handed over a massive chunk of the nation's food-producing land to a foreign corporation. Madagascar, a country where many people struggle with food insecurity, would have been growing crops to feed another nation. Public outrage was so immense that it played a key role in the political turmoil that led to the 2009 coup. The deal was eventually cancelled, but it demonstrated just how vulnerable Madagascar's resources were to foreign exploitation. So what stopped the Soalala mining project? How was this ecological disaster avoided? It wasn't a sudden change of heart from the government or the company. It was a combination of factors. Firstly, local communities and civil society groups began to push back. They saw the broken promises and recognized the threat to their land and livelihoods. Environmental NGOs raised alarm bells internationally. Their resistance created a significant obstacle. Secondly, the project itself was ambitious and complex. Building a port capable of handling massive ore shipments and the necessary infrastructure in such a remote area was a monumental undertaking. The costs kept escalating. As time went on, the promises made by Wisco started to look less and less feasible. The political situation in China also shifted, with increased scrutiny on overseas investments. Ultimately, the project just fizzled out. No mining ever started. The equipment never arrived. The company quietly abandoned its plans. The $100 million was never recovered. By sheer luck and the resilience of its people, Madagascar dodged a bullet. The $100 million was lost to corruption, a tragic theft from one of the poorest populations on Earth. But the land, the forests, and the unique wildlife of the Soalala region were spared. The story serves as a stark warning. It shows how political instability can open the door for exploitation, how the promise of development can be used as a cover for greed, and how a nation's natural heritage can be put on the auction block when governance fails. Today, Madagascar has a democratically elected government, and the era of the fire sale is officially over. But the pressures on its environment remain immense. New deals for graphite, oil, cobalt, and other minerals are still being made. Mining projects continue to expand across the country. The temptation to sacrifice long-term environmental health for short-term economic gain is always present, especially in a nation where poverty remains widespread. The Soalala fiasco remains a painful symbol of squandered opportunity and near-lost sovereignty. It reminds us that protecting these unique ecosystems requires constant vigilance, strong governance, transparent institutions, and a public that refuses to let its future be sold to the highest bidder. The eighth continent was saved this time, but the story is far from over. The fight to protect Madagascar's incredible biodiversity continues every single day. Each decision made about resource extraction, each negotiation with foreign companies, carries the weight of 88 million years of evolution. Thanks for watching. If you found this story important, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the issues shaping our world. See you next time.